What makes this theory so explosive isn't just the money, it's the timing. For years, fans believed Amy Roloff walked away from Roloff Farms with far less than she deserved. She gave up the land, the legacy, and the place she helped build from nothing. On screen, it looked like heartbreak, like compromise, like surrender. But what if that's not the full story? Because longtime viewers have started re-examining old footage with fresh eyes, and one moment keeps coming up again and again. A brief, awkward scene, a black bag, a tense exchange, and a reaction that at the time felt insignificant but now feels loaded. Fans say this was the moment everything quietly shifted. Not loud, not dramatic, but deliberate. According to online speculation, this wasn't about emotion, it was about leverage. While the cameras focused on divorce fallout and emotional closure, something else may have been happening behind the scenes. Negotiations, settlements, and financial chess moves that were never meant to be public. And that's where the rumored $200,000 payoff enters the conversation. No documents, no official confirmation. Just whispers passed through forums, comment sections, and reaction videos, suggesting that Amy didn't walk away empty-handed at all. That instead, she waited, let the dust settle, let public opinion cool, and then secured her justice quietly. Fans point to Amy's behavior since leaving the farm. The calm, the lack of bitterness, the way she stopped revisiting old wounds publicly. To them, it doesn't look like someone who lost, it looks like someone who already won. And Marek. Viewers say his role is often underestimated. Chris has always appeared measured, observant, and intentionally quiet. Not reactive, not impulsive. Fans believe he may have been the steady presence helping Amy think long-term, playing defense while others played offense. Which brings us back to that black bag. Some fans believe it symbolized far more than personal belongings. They claim it represents assets, documents, or financial leverage, something removed not out of spite, but preparation. A move made when no one was paying attention. Now, to be clear, this is still a theory. A fan-driven narrative. Built on interpretation, not proof. But the reason it refuses to die is simple. It fits the emotional timeline. Because while others faced backlash, scrutiny, and fractured public perception, Amy rebuilt. She smiled more, she moved forward, and she never looked back. So the question fans are asking now is, did Amy lose the farm? Did she play the long game? And if this rumored payoff is even partially true, then what we're witnessing isn't revenge fueled by anger. For years, little people, big world viewers watched something uncomfortable unfold in slow motion. Not a screaming breakup, not a dramatic courtroom battle, but something quieter, and in many ways harder to watch. Amy Roloff didn't just go through a divorce. She endured forced cohabitation on the very farm she helped build. Awkward negotiations that always felt tilted against her. And a gradual emotional push toward the exit, while cameras kept rolling. At the same time, one presence seemed to grow stronger. Caryn Chandler's access widened. Her involvement deepened. And her behind-the-scenes role became harder and harder for fans to ignore. To many viewers, it felt like Amy was being slowly erased from her own legacy. But now, years later, a new theory is spreading fast online, and it's forcing fans to look at that era very differently. What if Amy didn't walk away empty-handed? What if the quiet, restrained exit everyone interpreted as defeat was actually strategy? Online speculation suggests a private financial reckoning may have taken place, one that never made it into public negotiations or on-camera discussions. A rumored six-figure amount. Assets that may have changed hands quietly. And an understanding reached without fanfare or confirmation. And then there's the moment fans can't stop replaying. A resurfaced clip. A brief scene. A mysterious bag. What viewers are now calling the black bag moment. At the time, it passed unnoticed. But in the context of today's theories, it suddenly feels loaded with meaning. Was it nothing? Or was it something fans weren't meant to question? And where does Marek fit into all of this? Because to some viewers, Amy's transformation after leaving the farm wasn't just emotional, it was strategic. Calmer, more secure, more settled. Tonight, we're breaking it all down. What fans believe they saw. Why the $200,000 rumor refuses to fade. How old footage is being reinterpreted through a new lens. And why some are calling this not revenge fueled by anger, but Amy Roloff's slow, silent reckoning. The $200,000 number didn't come from leaked paperwork, court filings, or any official statement from the Roloff family. There was no headline announcing it, no legal document confirming it. Instead, the figure emerged the way many long-running reality TV rumors do, through pattern watching, timeline comparisons, and collective fan interpretation. Viewers who have followed Little People, Big World for years began noticing something subtle but consistent after Amy Roloff finalized her exit from Roloff Farms. Her demeanor changed. The tension that once followed her into negotiations, interviews, and even casual scenes seemed to dissolve. She appeared calmer, more self-assured, less reactive. For a woman who had spent years navigating emotionally loaded farm discussions, awkward cohabitation, and power imbalances, the shift was noticeable enough that fans began asking why. Some viewers interpreted this change as emotional closure. Others believed it looked like something more tangible, financial resolution. Amy no longer appeared cornered or defensive. Instead of drawn-out public disputes or visible frustration, there was restraint, silence, control. To longtime fans, that silence didn't feel accidental. That's where the theory began to take shape. Not as a dramatic accusation, but as a question. What if Amy negotiated privately instead of fighting publicly? What if the final chapter of her exit wasn't played out on camera at all? Fans began speculating that Amy may have recovered money or value. She believed she was owed after years of contributing to Roloff Farms while holding significantly less decision-making power. The $200,000 figure itself is symbolic to many fans. Some believe it represents direct cash. Others argue it could reflect assets, back payments, compensation adjustments, or behind-the-scenes reimbursements tied to farm profits, equity, or long-standing agreements. In this interpretation, the number isn't literal. It's shorthand for a settlement that balanced the scales quietly, without spectacle. Importantly, none of this is confirmed. No one involved has acknowledged a payout. No documentation exists in the public record. And that absence of evidence is precisely why the theory persists. Fans point out that settlements, especially those designed to avoid prolonged conflict, often come with confidentiality. Silence, in their view, doesn't always follow scandal. Sometimes it follows resolution. To supporters of this theory, Amy's calm isn't weakness. It's relief. It's the posture of someone who no longer needs to explain, defend, or demand. Whether that relief came from emotional acceptance or a private financial agreement remains unknown. But in the world of LPBW fandom, the question is, did it happen? Why did everything change so quietly? And that question is what keeps the $200,000 rumor alive. One of the most replayed and dissected moments in recent Little People, Big World fan discussions, doesn't involve shouting, confrontation, or even dialogue. It's quiet, brief, and easy to miss, unless you're already looking for meaning. The moment centers on Caryn Chandler arriving at Roloff Farms during a routine visit, carrying what appears to be a simple black bag. On its own, the image means absolutely nothing. People carry bags every day. They hold personal items, documents, lunch, electronics. There is no direct evidence that the bag contained anything unusual at all. But as fans often say, context is everything. What made this moment stand out wasn't the bag itself, but the circumstances surrounding it. Viewers who revisited the scene began pointing out details that, taken together, felt odd to them. The timing of the visit raised eyebrows. It occurred during a period when tensions around the farm, finances, and ownership were already high. Negotiations were sensitive, emotions were raw, and communication between key players appeared strained. Then there was the way the bag was handled. Some fans insist it appeared heavier than expected. Others noticed how deliberately it was carried. A few claimed the camera lingered just long enough to register it, but never long enough to explain it. And that's where speculation took over. Online forums, comment sections, and reaction videos began spinning theories almost immediately. Some viewers suggested the bag might have contained paperwork, contracts, agreements, or financial documents related to farm decisions. Others floated more dramatic ideas, valuables, cash, or personal items connected to ongoing disputes. To be clear, most fans openly admit these theories are unproven. No documents were shown. No statements were made. No explanation was ever provided by the show or the people involved. And yet, the silence became the fuel. What makes the black bag moment so powerful in fan lore is what's visible on screen. It's what is. There was no follow-up confessional, no producer clarification, no casual line dismissing it as nothing. The scene simply existed and then moved on. In reality TV, unexplained moments rarely stay unexplained in the audience's mind. For longtime viewers, this wasn't just about a bag. It became symbolic, a placeholder for years of unresolved tension, a visual metaphor for everything fans believe happened behind closed doors, conversations they never heard, negotiations they never saw, power shifts that were never acknowledged openly. Some fans argue that if the moment truly meant nothing, it could have been clarified easily. A single sentence would have ended the speculation. Instead, the lack of explanation allowed imagination to run wild. Others push back hard against the theory, calling it classic overanalysis. They argue that viewers are projecting frustration and unresolved feelings onto an ordinary object. That years of emotional investment in the show have trained fans to read between lines that may not exist. And that argument is completely fair. But in fandom culture, perception often matters as much as proof. The secret black bag theory persists not because of evidence, but because it fits into a larger emotional narrative many viewers already believe, a story of imbalance, of things happening quietly rather than publicly, of power being exercised subtly rather than openly. Whether the bag held documents, valuables, or absolutely nothing of consequence at all, one thing is undeniable. It became a canvas for unresolved questions. And in the absence of answers, speculation doesn't fade, it grows. Not because fans want drama, but because silence invites interpretation. Marek has never been the loudest person in the room, and that may be exactly why fans believe his influence mattered most. From the moment he entered Amy Roloff's life, viewers noticed something different. He didn't compete for screen time. He didn't escalate conflicts. And he never seemed interested in the emotional tug-of-war that had defined Amy's earlier years after divorce. Instead, Chris appeared calm, grounded, observant. Fans increasingly believe that this steadiness wasn't accidental, but strategic. Many viewers now speculate that Chris helped Amy slow down and reassess her approach to long-standing tensions. Rather than reacting emotionally to every slight or uncomfortable situation, Amy seemed to grow more measured, less reactive, more intentional. According to fan theories, Chris may have encouraged Amy to stop fighting battles in public and start protecting herself in private. Not through confrontation, not through ultimatums, but through patience. Fans point out that after Amy remarried, her behavior subtly shifted. She spoke less about resentment. She avoided drawn-out arguments, and she appeared more focused on stability than validation. Some believe Chris helped Amy understand that closure doesn't always come from winning arguments. It comes from securing peace. Financial peace, emotional peace, long-term security. If there was a financial reckoning behind the scenes, as fans speculate, Many believe Chris played a crucial role in helping Amy stay composed, letting processes unfold, letting time work instead of anger. In this interpretation, Chris wasn't pushing Amy toward revenge. He was guiding her toward resolution. And sometimes, the most powerful move isn't the loud one, it's the patient one. This is where the fandom truly splits. Depending on who you ask, this story is either about revenge or about self-respect finally being enforced. Some fans believe that if Amy quietly reclaimed money or assets she felt were owed to her, it was payback for years of emotional imbalance and power struggles. A delayed response to feeling sidelined, minimized, and pressured off the farm she helped build. Others see it very differently. They argue this wasn't revenge at all. Because if Amy wanted revenge, she had plenty of opportunities. She could have spoken out publicly. She could have leaked private details. She could have turned interviews into exposés. She could have humiliated people on camera. But she didn't. Instead, Amy chose silence. She rebuilt her life without spectacle. She focused on her marriage. She expanded her business. She invested in herself, emotionally, financially, and personally. Fans who support this view say that reclaiming what you believe is rightfully yours isn't revenge. It's resolution. It's drawing a boundary without shouting. It's closing a chapter without burning the book. It's choosing dignity over drama. And that's why this theory resonates so deeply. Because Amy never needed to win publicly. She just needed to be whole privately. Whether the rumored money exists or not, many fans believe the real shift was control, Amy finally taking it back. Not through force, not through conflict, but through quiet confidence. And sometimes, that kind of ending feels far more powerful than any explosive confrontation ever could. Let's pause here, because this is where truth and imagination often get tangled. There is no public record of a $200,000 payoff. There are no court documents, no police reports, and no verified evidence of stolen assets, secret transfers, or any kind of heist at Roloff Farms. None. And that matters. But here's what is real, and why these rumors refuse to die. For years, viewers watched dynamics that made them deeply uncomfortable. Power imbalances, awkward negotiations, emotional moments where one person seemed forced to compromise while others gained ground. These weren't imagined scenes, they were aired, edited, and broadcast to millions. What's also real is the long trail of unresolved tension left behind. Conversations that ended without closure, questions that were never fully answered, moments that felt unfinished. And then there's Amy. After stepping away from the farm and from the conflict tied to it, something shifted. Her confidence grew, her emotional energy changed, her life expanded. Fans noticed the calm, the clarity, the glow-up that didn't look performative, it looked earned. That contrast fuels speculation. Because sometimes rumors don't spread because they're factually true. They spread because they emotionally resonate with the audience who watched every chapter unfold in real time. People fill in gaps when silence lingers. They build theories when closure never comes. And they search for explanations when growth appears too sudden to be coincidence. So while this story has no verified receipts, it does have something just as powerful in the court of public opinion. Pattern recognition, emotional memory, and years of viewers trusting their own instincts. This isn't about proving a payoff ever happened. It's about understanding why so many people believe something did. And that belief, true or not, has become part of the legacy of Roloff Farms itself. At the end of the day, this story was never really about black bags, missing money, or secret deals. It was about power shifting, quietly, deliberately, and without spectacle. It was about a woman who stopped explaining herself and started choosing peace over chaos. Whether the $200K rumor fades away or grows louder online, one truth remains undeniable. Amy Roloff walked away stronger, calmer, and fully in control of her own narrative. And sometimes, the greatest payback isn't revenge at all, it's peace. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.